Easter eggs are an integral part of the zombies experience. In other video games, Easter eggs take the form of various references, callbacks, or secrets players can unlock or come across in gameplay. In Call of Duty Zombies, however, Easter eggs take on many of these forms, with the term becoming synonymous with quests players can tackle due to their secretive nature and wide variety of rewards. But while writing the Extinction review, I got thinking about a video I made with Zesty Moon a while back, which talked about the worst step in every Easter egg in Zombies. So why not make the Stanley 557 equivalent and talk about the best step in every Easter egg in Zombies? Because I love doing these silly little things that are nothing more than a waste of time in my very, very limited existence on Earth. So hello there, fellow zombie slayers. My name is Stanley 557. Sit back and relax as we discuss the best step in every Easter egg in Zombies. Ascension. Starting off with the first Easter egg in Zombies, we're beginning with, that's right, Ascension, as it was technically the first main quest in the series. But if you want me to talk about Deriz, the coolest part is the fly trap, because you know what, it's kind of cool, it's unique, it's something completely out of the box, and also there's a ton of really cool sound effects, voice work, and effects. But back to Ascension. There are a ton of cool steps that stick out of my mind, but one of my favorites is the first one where you need to suck up this generator out of bounds with the Gersh device. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but it's the way the generator sticks out in my mind that makes it memorable. And it helps to complete the step, you have to do something completely unorthodox. And if you ask me, at its core, that's what makes an Easter egg. Doing something that no one would expect. Maintaining the secret, but not explicitly stating what to do and why you're doing it. Allowing players to fill in the blanks in between. Even if in actuality, the step is simply you sucking up a generator that can be used as a power source for the Casimir mechanism. There are a ton of memorable moments throughout the series, but this first one was one of my favorites back in the day, and it still is now.
Casimir mechanism activation in progress. Error. No power detected.
You've done it. Now, it needs as much power as possible.
Call of the Dead. Now this is an Easter egg I think of with this video in mind. This step comes from the co-op Easter egg, and it involves the middle portion of the map when you're interacting with the radios, the foghorns, and the ship wheel and levers. Hey there y'all, Stanley 557 here. Apparently, I'm stupid, and there's no underscore that builds. What I'm thinking of is specifically the Morse code that plays as an underscore in the background after you complete the Morse code step. That's what I'm talking about. There's no underscore through the whole middle portion, it's just this one step. Apparently, I was mistaken. But I do like the way it sounds. It's very mysterious, it's cool, and adds a ton of vibe to the map. But yeah, it's only in this one step. And it's that simple attention to detail that makes the Easter egg so memorable. At least it does for me. Shangri-La. Just like Call of the Dead, my favorite Shangri-La step has a similar reasoning. Throughout the entire Easter egg, you're slowly aligning and raising these crystal towers. These crystal towers amplify the power of the 3179 JGB215. To complete the final step of the Easter egg, you must hit 4 gongs to create a perfect harmony. This harmony then enhances the power of the crystals, and then you fire the wonder weapon to complete the step, and you're rewarded with a beautiful symphony that ends with the shrinkage of the meteor. It's one of my favorite moments in just about any egg.
The rock has been shrunken!
Moon. Moon was a tough one to pick for, because I don't particularly like this egg, and I don't think any of the steps are really all that noteworthy. But if I had to pick a step, it would be when you race Samantha out of the pyramid. As much as I like the ending where you blow up the Earth, I feel the moment jumps the shark for the series in retrospect. But with Samantha coming out of the MPD, the moment sticks in my mind because this is the first time we come face to face with her, giving us a satisfying conclusion to who Samantha really is and her effects on the narrative. It also helps this moment comes with a unique theme and a 90-second death machine. What's not to love?
Hello, Samantha, you little brat. Your time is coming. Soon. So soon!
This is going to be so much fun. Finally, we can confront this little beast. Quickly, power up the machine.
Transit. Now, the sections for Transit, Die-Rise, and Buried are going to be split into two parts, one for Richthofen and the other for Maxis. But granted, we're talking about Transit, an absolute banger of a map. My favorite step in Richthofen's quest is the fact that you can skip needing to have 4 people acquire the EMPs by simply activating a portal, throw an EMP, jump through the portal, and activating a second EMP by 2 players. This is the closest I could get to a favorite step, as this Easter egg is terrible, and my other options for favorite steps are turn on the power, build and use the jet gun, and get explosive kills. I don't have a lot of options here. And for Maxis, my favorite step has to be the fact that you need to turn off the power. It seeks to only make the quest more difficult, but in some ironic way, I actually like it because it makes the map even more miserable for everyone involved. Just like Richthofen, I have very few options for this section, and turning off the power is funny, but albeit masochistic.
Insta-kill.
Hey! Take this, dirtbag!
Excellent! You have activated
Give
the
me
2
my
of 2
jar.
surfaces of the scaling. Quickly, complete the tertiary node.
Die-Rise. So, fun fact, I've actually come to like Die-Rise a lot more over time, but this quest is still something I'm contentious on. But let's talk about that favorite step. For Richthofen's side, I love the step where you need to use Swicklifire on the balls held by the statues in Spawn, because I have the humor of a 12-year-old, and the Eggs competition includes doing the Mahjong tile step. For Maxis, I love launching the balls in the trample steams, because again, I have the humor of a 12-year-old, and the Eggs competition includes a broken step with a pack-punch ballistic knife, and the Mahjong tile step again. But in all sincerity, I like how the 2 orbs bouncing around the map creates a stasis field which powers the pylon. Also, it's just funny to say the phrase, balls bouncing.
It is working! We are near our goal!
Mob of the Dead. Easily the map's most memorable step is the finale where you and your teammates face off against the Weasel, but I'm here to propose that the best step is actually the backstory that comes right before the finale. Sure, the fight is cool, but the fight is nothing without the lore that accompanies it. Taking after audio tours, players can pick up headphone power-ups where the prison guard, Stanley Ferguson, reports on the story of 4 mobsters who try to escape the prison, setting up the world of Mob through the iconography of imprisonment and the cycle of life and death. I also just think the way that the narrative is expressed is super unique and an unforgettable part of the experience. A less is definitely more kind of situation.
For their participation in the murder, the 3 collaborators were sent to death by electric chair. Justice came swiftly. On the morning of January 19th, 1934, the execution order was carried out.
Buried. I feel like Occam's razor best describes the thought process here for what I think is the best step, and that's easily the sharpshooter step. This step is present at the end of both quests, and in an actual test of skill and precision, every player in the game needs to shoot about 20 targets. And if even one of them is missed, you'll need to retry the entire step over and over again until you achieve victory. What makes this step not as egregious as it could be is the safety net that Leroy can hold the last zombie, truly giving every player in the game the ability to focus on their targets, so victory is only a matter of time. Something else I also like about this step is the camaraderie. If someone is having a hard time with the step, then the rest of the team can squad up with them and help them analyze the targets to see which ones they're missing, which I also feel like so few steps in zombies are actually able to embody and accomplish. This allows the group to only be as strong as their weakest link, making everyone a priority in an age where most players just sit around while the guy with the Raffle Waffles guide completes a step. But with enough trial, error, luck, and skill, you'll easily come out on top. And it helps that the theme that goes along with it is also really cool. Origins. My favorite step in Origins. Now this is a tough one. But if I had to pick just one step, it would be step 4, Unleash the Horde. Back in the day, you were lucky to encounter one special enemy, or much less 2 of them. And if you survived long enough on Origins, you'd encounter upwards of 3 Panzers every 3 to 4 rounds. But this step forces you to combat 8 Panzer Soldats, an unprecedented number at the time, one after the other. Sure, the completion of this step is as easy as using the fire or lightning staff charge effects, but this step pushed the envelope in terms of what was possible for players to be able to combat back in the day. Also, it isn't a puzzle step, it's actually killing undead, which I'll always have a soft spot for.
Find the spirit of the sky. Only on Earth can he be defeated.
Outbreak. Okay, this egg actually sucks. But probably my favorite step would be the one where you need to collect Deckard's keycard by, get this, activating a trash chute, not traveling inside of it, then buying it again, and going into the trash compactor. Cool! To complete this step, you'll need to shoot the ground until the keycard pops up, and if you fail, you'll need to try again and again until you achieve victory. Just like my favorite Maxis Transit step, I don't actually like this step, but it is so absurd it loops back around to being funny.
Furnace rooms knows that the only way to get into a furnace room is to activate a trash chute, but don't go in, and then activate it.
Infection. Another egg that I think is absolutely terrible, but one of my favorite steps is the early game Blood Pan Soul Box. In order to complete the step, players must bathe the golden pan in the blood of the undead. That's it. It's simple and easy to complete, but due to the aggressive AI of Exos, it's certainly no walk in the park. But as long as you stay on the offensive, you'll achieve victory in no time. Carrier. One of Carrier's standout steps has to be the maze minigame. Being forced to drink a bottle of vodka to see the maze, players are required to complete this parkour puzzle in a drunken state. But what's really cool is that if you know the layout of the maze, you don't even need to be drunk to complete it. Then there's the maze itself, which is decently creative, and you can make use of the exosuit for specific shortcuts. And on top of that, if you manage to complete the maze in under a minute with a red herring in your inventory, you'll earn a secret trophy on the map. Descent. It's the parkour step. Unique, satisfying to complete, and requires complete knowledge and expertise of the exosuit. And if you don't know all the tips and tricks, well, this step will make sure you do. Now, if only there wasn't a 5-minute zombie timer.
Finally, my years of video game addiction paid off.
Shadows of Evil. For Shadows of Evil, as much as I hate it, it has to be the flag step. An endurance of skill that weeds out the weak, forcing only the strongest to survive. And it helps that the step is a pure defense mission. No weird puzzles, no Morse code, no pachinko minigames, just pure meatball and parasite killing action. The Giant. My favorite step has to be the one that takes up the entire Easter egg, the hide and seek. Look, it was either that or activating the fly trap, and I already said the fly trap for Darius, okay? What do you want from me?
The beacon is lit. I know where and when you are.
This doesn't look like any of that Group 935 shit.
We'll find you. Together, we will ensure a better future for children.
Der Eisendrache. The best step in Der Eisendrache for me is actually the moments right before the boss fight. By gathering ethereal energy for our ghostly ally, it is able to charge itself up and teleport to the moon, where it somehow steals the MPD, kicks Samantha out of it, touches the ether, and becomes corrupted. A cascading turn of events that continues to shock you at every turn, with things only getting worse before they get better. Also, the implication that Dr. Groff managed to shoot a keeper and live to tell the tale instantly puts my man at the top of the goes hard tier list. Sometimes spectacle and mystery is all you need to create a memorable moment. Setsubo no Shima. If I had to pick the best Setsubo step, it'd have to be the spider boss fight. It's short, effective, but makes a memorable encounter that fills out the undead catalog with even scarier threats. Also, I have talked ad nauseum about this guy, so just play the map already. See how our fight goes. You'll love it. Gorod Krovi. For Gorod, I was tempted to cheat and say the boss fight might be my favorite step. But at this point, the honor might have to go to the Mangler or Valkyrie drone escort. Difficult steps that often incentivize the use of gobblegums, but become much more fun the better you get at the game. The Mangler step can be completely cheesed by shooting off his arm cannon, and the Valkyrie can be cheesed by simply using the left half of the Mark IIIs. These steps are quite difficult, and most people use Dead Man's Walking as a crutch. But without the use of them, the step's pace completely changes. But actually, a good player can still complete them despite their difficulty. What's also cool is that you can kill the Valkyrie on the stairs and save some time. I don't know why you can do this, but I can't even begin to imagine the shock of the first guy to figure this out. Skill-based action that rewards you for playing at your best. It's hard to pick between the two, but they're some of my favorites.
Space-time malfunction. You may take a moment to rest. Did you enjoy it?
Revelations. Oh, you ever play a map and think, I gotta do this quest again? What? No? Oh, right, redoing these eggs hundreds of times isn't normal behavior. Well, it's the one that I think of whenever I play Revelations, okay? The best Revelation step would have to be the Margot Rush around 3/4 through the main Easter egg. Forced to battle the game's toughest enemies, the Margot Rush puts your back against the wall and tells you to fight your way out. But unlike the Panzer Rush from Origins, Revelations sports constantly changing terrain, making it much more difficult than it should be. But if you have a Thunder Gun on hand, this fight is over before you know it. Also, imagine being so bad at this game that you can have the God Helmet, all your good perks set up, and still die in this section. What a loser. Can you imagine this dumb YouTuber and streamer that would have that happen to him? This guy must actually suck at zombies or something. Can you imagine taking any of his opinions seriously? Because imagine if he died on what's considered the easiest map ever against just some slightly difficult enemies. Wow, imagine that YouTuber right now. Good thing there's not a clip playing in the background that shows how bad this guy is and as he failed like a stupid idiot. That's bad. Zombies in Spaceland. The best step in Spaceland is probably the boss fight. While I adore the Steadicom defenses, some of the locations are extremely questionable, like the defense at the entrance of Journey into Space or the water park. But strictly for solo play, the boss fight is a fencing match between you and the alien. If you get too greedy, you might end up going down. But if the alien doesn't try to attack you directly, it'll never finish you off. This is one of the few fights where patience is a virtue, and you are forced to consider tactical maneuvers to ensure your own safety first and foremost.
Please tell me that thing is dead.
Enough with this! This isn't going to win any of us any awards!
Rave in the Redwoods. Alright, cop-out time, because again, the best step in the Easter egg is to the boss fight. What? I don't like the rules. The egg is 3 steps long. Opening the map, the trials, and then the fight. Not my fault it's either the lockdowns that make me lose my perks, or an engaging boss fight with an enemy that doesn't immediately one-shot me. The coolest part of the fight is the visuals. I don't know who at IW thought it was a good idea to switch between both the normal and Rave Vision visuals, but it makes for a cool, constantly shifting set piece. Then there's the fight itself. The Super Slasher is no alien, and that makes his brawler-like encounter better balanced. Fun, colorful, and a perfect end to an already brief quest, it's no wonder the Super Slasher boss fight shows up here. Shaolin Shuffle. The best step in Shaolin Shuffle would have to be the word and eye puzzle step. I can't get enough of them. Oh lord, I'm just fucking with you. In all seriousness, my favorite Easter egg step in Shaolin has to be the round skip, purely for the visual and the way it incorporates a time period accurate feature into the map without making it feel contrived. It comes out of nowhere if you're not expecting it, and skips rounds to represent the missing film, which I think is super cool because there are definitely times IW forgets each of its maps are supposed to be films, and they hardly do anything with the concept. Attack of the Radioactive Thing. This is another one of those eggs where it's hard for me to pinpoint a favorite step, because frankly, all of it is pretty bad. But I'm going to cop out again and say it's the boss fight, purely for the fact that they made a giant crab monster a Godzilla-like boss fight, and it isn't completely terrible, which is the crazy part. Sadly, I have no idea what these laser cannons are doing here, but they make for an engaging fight. Unlike the Keeper fight from DE, which just teleports around the arena in a large circle. But really not much to pick from unless you want to hear a sarcastic rant about the chemistry step. What's that you do? Alright guys, I love the chemistry step. I love messing around with the chemicals and getting killed by zombies and wasting my time and looking around for stuff and doing stupid calculations that just require me to add 2 numbers and subtract the 3rd one. This step takes just so long and it's so much fun, guys. Beast from Beyond. What am I supposed to say? I really like putting Neil's head onto the computer to deactivate the cryptid rounds. The best step is arguably the Mephistopheles boss fight. I know, the world's biggest cop-out. It's a cool fight, and better than the entirety of Beast if you ask me. And you've all heard me talk about this fight ad nauseum. So here's me beating it downless on stream. The Final Reich. Finally, an egg with some chest hair on it. There are a ton of great moments in the Final Reich. There's the clock tower defenses, the emergence of the Panzer Mortar, the activation of the Tesla gun machine, the Brenner's reveal, but one of my favorite moments has to be when you activate the voice of God at the end of the Easter egg. A moment that has always stayed with me due to the impeccable sound design. The Darkest Shore. How I adore The Darkest Shore. It's got a grueling main quest, but just like the Final Reich, has a ton of great steps. There's the Mortular hide-and-go-seek hunt, the corpse gate opening, and of course there's the statue soul box. But the best step has to be not the boss fight itself, but what occurs in the boss fight. If you take too long trying to complete a phase in the Meister Mortular fight, you will end up being bombarded by American bombers attempting to destroy the island. Calling in bombers is how you activate the boss fight in the first place. So it's really cool to see the consequence actually come into play in the narrative of the fight. Also, I think it's super cool that you can be bombarded in the fog. The Shadowed Throne. Ooh, I really want to put Schraub Zeppelin emerging when you exit the apartment buildings. But alas, that scene is not incorporated into the main Easter egg. The best Easter egg step in Shaolin has to be the boss fight. Specifically, its thematics, as the gameplay is tough, but I want to hone in on what the boss fight does. Emerging from the shadows, the Stadtjäger makes a grand entrance just after the defeat of Straub. A rogue monster, now with no master to call its own, going on a rampage in the pursuit of murdering all on its path. And as the fight goes on, Zeppelin continues to grow into a state of disrepair, and the fight ends with the Stadtjäger not being defeated, but being provoked to overcharge itself with so much Geistkraft, it simply explodes due to the overcharge of energy. And honestly, that's really cool. The Tortured Path. The map sucks, most of the steps suck. The best step is when the red herring shows up because how could you ever hate the red herring? The Frozen Dawn. Whenever I think of the Frozen Dawn, I think of the Thulian Flail, which is to teleport around the map. Which is why the best step belongs to the Thulian Hammer's Trust Walk. It's a neat step in between a very mediocre egg. Voyage of Despair. One of the best maps of all time. Obviously. Just like the Final Reich, there are a ton of great moments on the map. There's the activation of the Central Artifact, the Elemental Trials, the Planet Step, the boss fight, which is still one of my favorites. But my favorite step is when you travel into the iceberg and activate Yggdrasil, instigating a fight between you and the Nidhogg. What's cool is that you can find destroyed Viking boats at the bottom of the iceberg. Whether they be poor souls trapped within the Trial's clutches, or arrogant warriors who fought what they couldn't defeat. And who could forget the stunning visual of the 9 realms of Yggdrasil being opened. What an absolutely standout moment in an already fantastic map.
I think we just woke something up.
9. Here we go, another banger of a map. Normally I'd pick the boss fight here, but I actually want to commend the Zeus trial, a brawl completely fixated on your specialist weapon, with an instant refill being awarded to you every single time you score a kill. This step does not hold back, as the trial throws at you an unparalleled amount of gladiators, brawlers, and tigers. It's a stupid step, but one that allows you to completely turn your brain off and have fun doing so. When the step is complete, even the pylons that usually burst into flames whenever you kill a special enemy burst into smoke, burnt out on the action. Blood of the Dead. For such a lengthy egg, it was actually quite easy to pick the best Easter egg step, and that would be the map's finale. Right before you enter the boss fight, the Warden supercharges himself and prepares to engage the Primus crew before they escape, but is thwarted by the Mob of the Dead crew coming to the rescue, preventing an even greater cycle of life and death. Call it a plot convenience or a Deus Ex Machina, I don't care. I love that the mob crew get the last laugh on Brutus, aiding our heroes in their escape and the subsequent destruction of the pocket dimension, freeing their damned souls.
Finn, Al, that teensy little seagull. The ghosts of Alcatraz have bought us the time. We will use every moment.
Classified. My favorite part was round 138. Dead of the Night. The best Easter egg step in this map has to be the Night step. I love when zombies interact with various entities, monsters, and mythologies, and Dead of the Night features undead vampires, werewolves, and even ghosts, with these ghastly specters fighting by your side in the preceding trial. We usually aren't aided in these quests, so it's super cool to see an ally of any kind.
I can feel it in my bones. We're almost free of this nightmare.
Are you talking to me or to you?
Ancient Evil. You know, I would love to give my opinions on the boss fight, but instead I'm gonna have my good friend Zesty Moon do the honors. Zesty Moon had me on the worst Easter egg steps of all time video, so I thought it'd be fun if he helps me with this one instead. By the way, go watch his video. It's a wonderful video, and he does such a good job with it.
Hello my fellow lads, Mr. 557 has graciously given me the opportunity to talk about one of my favorite maps in zombies. Ancient Evil to me has probably the most airtight Easter egg in the entire series. The majority of steps in this Easter egg are great, and the only bad step in this Easter egg can be skipped in a couple ways. But without a doubt, the highlight of this Easter egg for me has got to be the boss fight, which, now that I think about it, shouldn't be that surprising, because saying that a boss fight is the best part of an Easter egg is a take that is more cold than the fucking vacuum of space. But anyway, in this fight, you go up against two opponents that are from Greek mythology, Pegasus and Perseus. In terms of gameplay, the fight against the two is pretty simple and isn't that difficult. Pegasus's only attack is a line of fire that you have to avoid, and for Perseus, it's just a bunch of swords that you have to avoid too. And for both of them, you just have to shoot them until they get stunned, and then from there you have to spam your specialist weapon against them. It's a decent fight, but what really elevates it to being awesome is the spectacle. You're at the top of Mount Olympus, going up against the mythological flying horse and the hero of ancient Greece. Not to mention the fighting arena itself, where you have 3 platforms that you jump around in. What has to be my personal favorite thing about this fight is whenever you finish any phase of the fight, one of the platforms that you can move around in will just fucking blow up. However, while there is a lot to like about this fight, there is one issue that I do have with it. Both opponents in total have 3 attacks, which I think is way too little. Granted, the fight itself is pretty short, so it's not really that big of a deal, but I think them having more attacks would have made the fight a lot more dynamic. Regardless of that though, I still think that the fight is pretty cool. And that's all from me. Enjoy the rest of this video.
No! This cannot be! I am the son of Zeus!
Was it worth it, culero? Of course not. Nice place to visit, but I would not want...
Alpha Omega. The best part of Alpha Omega is that you hardly have to deal with Nova Bombers and Jolting Jacks, but for an actual step, I adore the sequence right before the boss fight begins. The monologue by Purnell announcing himself as the Avogadro, the nuke going off, doing practically nothing because we're already inside a nuclear bunker. Like, who thought that would work? The way the music ramps up, and his descent from the APD, and the numerous interactions that he has with Primus and Ultimus, working perfectly as a foil for their quest and dreams, especially Richthofen, with Purnell showing what truly happens when you reach Agartha. Power that only creates madness and insanity. And all of that is ignoring how the boss fight interacts with both you and the boss itself, never being able to actually defeat him, instead simply sending the problem away, which is a creative solution to a plan gone wrong.
Threat level midnight. Entity has escaped containment. Failsafe protocol enacted. All personnel duck and cover. This is not a drill.
Tog der Toten. Finally, at the end of the Aether Saga, one of my favorite steps is simply the interactions that you hear between Primus and Ultimus at the campfires in the intermissions. It's nice to hear them all laughing and enjoying a final meal together after all of the fighting and bloodshed that they've had to go through. Sure, it all leads to this, but it's nice to know that even for a brief moment there was tranquility among the tortured and the damned.
A long time ago, Samantha told me something very important. She promised she would keep us safe forever, and that she would make everything okay. She said her dad had a plan.
D-Machine. For the triumphant return to zombies, D-Machine's best step has to be both of Orlov's monologues. It's crazy to think that the decontamination device actually works, and disproves the entire precedent behind the original use of WaW-MWZ set all the way back into recent Kino, the control of the undead, and their unwillingness to be led by a human avatar. Orlov is an extremely sympathetic man, and provides much of the heart for the Easter egg. Always a moment I love to sit back and allow myself to become engrossed in the world over and over again.
I will repair the damage I have done.
Firebase C. Firebase C features an extremely short quest, but my favorite step would have to be when you align the satellite dish and use the laser's power to repower the OPC to free Samantha. It's extremely nonsensical, and Peck's reaction sells the moment as well, because why the laser doesn't drill a hole through the map is beyond me.
One. What the hell is that? Are you firing a goddamn space laser at my satellite dish?
Outbreak. For Outbreak, I'm going to include a step from both main quests, but for Operatia and Versia, the best step goes to the missile silo sequence. It's a complicated bunch of steps, which includes 3 subtasks and a mini puzzle to activate the missiles in the first place, but I love how the step gives you an entirely new arena to play in, and it's fairly dynamic for its player-enemy interactions. Clearly, no amateurs worked on this, and it plays so well because of that fact. It's just a shame that you can't access it besides playing through the quest. And for Operatia Excision, my favorite step is right before the boss fight. Jaeger's monologue is super chilling, and I love the almost cultic final line from him. I think it's also cool Omega uses an audio lore to attract the undead, a common trope in other zombie media, but one rarely used in our version of zombies.
Soon we will change the world, Requiem. Auf Wiedersehen.
Mauer der Toten. The best step in Mauer is without a doubt Valentina's monologue and the subsequent boss fight. Look at this absolute girl boss. It also helps that her fight is engaging and takes after traditional boss fight mechanics found in other games, like a defensive bubble, health regeneration, attacks that specifically target some of your stronger equipment, like the yellow shards tearing through your armor, and a screen nuke that doesn't give you as much time to react as say something like the DE Keeper or the Eye of Odin. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the song Wrath, which plays during the fight. Some of Brian Tuohy's best work.
My name is Angelica, daughter of Ulrich Vogel. I am here to complete his mission. The dawn of the new Reich begins now!
Forsaken. For the grand finale for Cold War, Forsaken's best step, besides all the other cool character interactions, is the moment that appears after building the Therium neutralizer. The conversation between Peck and Kravchenko is hilarious, and the icing on the cake is the buffoons blowing themselves up and straight out of the narrative, which in my opinion is way funnier than it has any right to be.
Colonel, they're breaking through!
You idiot! Watch where you're shooting! The gas line!
Oh my god. Are they... Do you think they're alright?
Duran Fong. The best step on Duran Fong is when the map ends, because this is hardly an Easter egg and more akin to a cutscene. Terra Maldicta. Can I repeat what I said previously? What? No? The best step here is when you free the Decimator shield. What a silly little guy.
Can't be. Am I returned to the waking world? The Decimator lives again!
Shinonuma. Finally, a really good map. My favorite step from Shinonuma has to be the lockdown step. It's insanely difficult as you're surrounded by all sides, and the timer is surprisingly strict, all things considered. When I first practiced this step, I swore it was glitched, but apparently I just had to be faster and more accurate with my Wonderwaff shots.
Right between the eyes, and I wasn't even aiming. The monument has all it needs. Watch, Sir Axis. This is for you.
What the hell is that?
The Archon. Obviously the best step here has to be when you load into the map because the map is now green! That's the color of money! But in all seriousness, there are a ton of unique steps to choose from, but oddly the one I'm choosing here is the Simon Says step. Symbols are shown to you, and you must repeat the sequence by standing on the correct symbols scattered about the area. Once the sequence is complete, you must arrive for 1 minute in the area with an extremely specific randomized challenge, which for 99% of the time can be completed by running around in a circle. It's so out of the box, yet so stupidly simple it sticks out to me. And its competition includes the boss fight, which is no Mephistopheles, that's for sure. Operation Deadbolt. And at the end of the line, we have MWZ's Operation Deadbolt. Sadly, most of the quests are either Open Dark Ether Rift, which stays permanently open once the Easter egg is complete, and can't be recompleted unless you're helping someone else with it, or Greylorm. So I guess we're talking about the boss fight again. I love Greylorm. Sure, they nerfed him to the ground with the buff of the VR11, but you know what? I completed it without going down before that. And I'm gonna force you all to know that since I wasted my time doing it. Besides that, I've talked about this boss again ad nauseum. Go watch my other videos if you want to hear my thoughts on it. And that was an Easter egg step, or moment, I love from every single Call of Duty Zombies map. I really tried to come up with some oddball picks here, so let me know what you think below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Zombies is a stupidly expansive game mode, so I know the options are near limitless. Thanks to Zesty Moon for coming on to talk about Ancient Evil, and thank you all for watching. If you like this video, then I have a whole slew of other projects I'm super proud of, like the IWAW World War II 9 Cold War and IW re-review videos, and then there's the boss fights video, where I rank every single boss fight in the series, and where you can totally hear me completely splurge out about them, and who could forget the cut content video, and the IW and World War II podcasts I've done with John Rizzo. So if you're looking for long-form zombies content, you've come to the right place. But with that said, thank you all for watching. And remember, keep on slaying.